All right. Bear with me. Hang on. Leave the meeting open, Mandy. I'm just going to step aside for a second. All right. Thank you for your patience. I now have KSA 233222 before me. Change in child's residence. Um, Megan, I certainly understand your statements to the court that you maybe were trying to take care of your mother, and so you just happened to bring your daughter along with you. I don't know if there was a custodial uh, alternative down in Texas where she could have maintained school, either with a stepfather or family down there or whatever, but obviously you didn't choose that. You brought her with you. You, in effect, have had her up here apparently about 4 months before returning. This would appear to be one of those situations where the statute requires that you give notice to the father before you move the residence again, and you didn't do that.
I did not make this my residence.
Well, but as a practical matter, the court will make the finding that you did. I mean, we're not talking about a short-term visitation. We're not talking about accommodating Mr. Etter's parenting time. You literally took the child out of school in Texas and moved her here. Now, you can play all kinds of word games with the terms residence or home or whatever you want, but the reality is she got moved to Kansas and finished the school year here. This certainly gives every impression to a reasonable person that you have changed residence for her, regardless of some unexpressed intent, apparently, to move back to Texas. Now, this court at one time approved you moving to the state of Texas with her, but this mixed signals that you're sending with you were in Texas, then you move her up to Kansas, and now you want to go back to Texas causes problems. And it doesn't appear that you've been willing to accommodate the father's parenting time. Why is that?
I have, Your Honor, every time
Okay,
he
now
has
wait a
asked
minute.
for
Wait a
her,
minute.
except for the
Okay, wait.
2
Whoa,
times
whoa.
that she
Stop
did
right
not
there.
want to go.
This you came up on the 29th, and he hasn't seen his daughter since you came up here. This is August the 5th. I mean, where does Mr. Etter live?
In Douglas?
Okay, the same town. One thing I want to make clear, and perhaps the young lady should be in the room for this, she doesn't call the shots here. She's a minor. Until she becomes 18, she doesn't acquire those kind of rights to decide when she wants to be with a parent and when she doesn't want to. Okay,
Okay,
so
but Your Honor, may I add something?
This case out of Kansas is exactly the kind of mess that family court sees far too often. Judge Ricky is dealing with a mother accused of playing games.
County, Kansas, case entitled in the matter of the marriage of Bruce Etter and Megan Etter, case number 2011 DM 477. Julian Thomas appears as counsel for Bruce Etter. Bruce Etter appears separately from his lawyer by Zoom. Megan Etter appears on this meeting on her separate Zoom, along with the minor daughter, who's essentially his status is in controversy at this time. This matter comes before the court apparently for further proceedings in regards to a motion filed by Bruce Etter through his lawyer seeking modification of current custody orders. Ms. Thomas, if you'll summarize where we are on this.
Yes, Your Honor. First, we would ask that the court consider removing the minor child from the hearing so that the parents can keep the parental conflict between the parents without putting the minor child in the middle of that.
All right, why is the daughter on this meeting?
She would like to speak on her behalf as well, Your Honor.
All right, I'll take that under advisement. I'm going to ask the minor daughter to leave the room at this time.
Yes, sir.
All right, Ms. Thomas.
Your Honor, in 2019, mom needed to relocate to Texas, and dad agreed that she could do that with some parenting orders in place. That situation has not gone well, and most of his parenting time has been withheld. He has not had money to have an attorney to help him resolve that. In March of 2024, Mom returned to Kansas, moving into her mother's home.
Dad learns, through the couple's adult daughter, that mom and the minor child had already been back in Kansas for weeks. School enrollment follows.
We believe, based upon the communication with Jenna, the adult 21-year-old daughter of the parties, that the reason Mom did that was because she and her new husband had separated, filed for divorce, things like this were going on. And so Mom had relocated back to Kansas with Mercedes. We found this out in March when Mom had been back for a week or two from the oldest daughter, who called Dad and said, "Hey, Mom and my little sister have moved back. You should be able to see my sister more easily." About the same time, Mom called Dad and say, "Hey, I've moved back. I've enrolled our daughter in school, but I can't afford the school supplies." So Dad went and picked the daughter, Mercedes, up, took her shopping for school supplies, and daughter then commenced school in Douglas, Kansas, because Mom had moved here and enrolled her. Dad came to see me the end of June saying, "Hey, I would like shared custody of my daughter." And so I prepared those documents, filed them on July 3rd, and had Mom served. Between March, when Mom moved back, and July 3rd, when we filed the motion, Mom was very disruptive to visitation. Dad would call and ask. Mom would say no, couldn't understand why. So Dad had a total of 21 visits between March and July, although he had asked for many more, and Mom had consistently refused. After we served Mom contacted Dad and said, "Hey, I need to take the minor child to Texas because we've got a couple of doctor's appointments. We've got doctors there. We'll be back." Dad said, "No problem." As we were approaching hearing today, I contacted Mom and said, "Look, we probably need to mediate before the court is going to do anything. Can we agree to mediation? And once that's done, if we don't have an agreement, can we agree we'll just set it for pretrial conference to move the ball forward?" She said, "Well, I don't know what you're going to do about it because I moved back to Texas." I called Dad and said, "Has something happened in the case where you've agreed that Mom can move back to Texas?" He said, "Absolutely not. She told me she was going to a doctor's appointment." At that point, I asked Dad to contact Douglas High School and find out if the child had been enrolled in Douglas High School for the school year 2024-2025, and she has. So it is our position that Mom had no intention of moving back to Texas. In fact, she had moved here and enrolled the child for her, what is her school grade next year, please? For her next year to be a sophomore, to enroll her for that next high school year. But when she got the motion for shared custody, the checkmate on the case was, "Well, now I've relocated back to Texas." That caused me to ask to reinstate this hearing. And so what we are asking for today, Judge, is we did not receive any written notice of intent to move. It was only today when Mom told me did we know that she had purported to have moved back to Texas already. We would ask for an order that the child will attend the Douglas school in the fall. If Mom wants to stay in her mother's house or wherever she wants to in or around Douglas, then I understand I probably can't get shared custody on a stand-up motion. If Mom wants to reside in Texas, then the child should stay where she's already enrolled and she can move in with Dad right away. The rest of it, as far as our motion for shared residence and for the child support, Mom and I are working to exchange income information and resolve that. And we have an agreement that we will go to mediation. But the reason we're here today is because, absent an order from Your Honor, she is moving back to Texas, disrupting the enrollment that she has in Douglas for her upcoming school year. And through that, we believe trying to win the custody fight without Your Honor hearing any evidence about best interest of the child.
But the current court order, Ms. Thomas, contemplates that the child will live in Texas with the mother, doesn't it?
It does in 2019, but I believe that that court order becomes basically nullified when Mom relocates to Kansas and Dad acquiesces to that. I don't think she then can move back to Texas without any notice to Dad that she's doing that, especially when it comes just days after a motion to change custody based on her independent decision that Dad had nothing to do with, to move the child to Douglas and enroll her for both freshman and sophomore years there. I think once she voluntarily moves back to Kansas, we are not required to let her forevermore, without notice, disrupt where the child is enrolled and return to Texas.
Very well. Megan?
Yes, sir.
Explain yourself. What's going on with you that you have this instability in your residential situation?
She insists she never relocated, claiming she only extended a visit due to her mother's illness. Yet she admits enrolling the child in Kansas schools and remaining for months. Judge Ricky doesn't buy the wordplay.
Your Honor, I have never relocated up here. I came up here for visitation in March. My mother became ill and I extended my stay. My daughter needed to be in school regardless of where we were at, so yes, I enrolled her here for the last bit of her sophomore year. I have never changed my address to move here. I do not say I live here. My home is in Texas, has been. I went back to Texas in July. I came back for court.
Was this daughter enrolled for the upcoming school year in the Douglas schools?
They sent me a schedule for her, but I did not enroll her in the school. She is currently enrolled in Texas, where we reside.
So you didn't do anything affirmative to inform the school that there was an intent to return?
I have not been able to get into the school parking lot. They have had it closed off. There was no vehicles there. I intended to go there today. And I actually went up to the courthouse to talk to your county clerk earlier to see if I could even get a lawyer myself because I don't have any income. I was dealing with that, so no, I have not been able to withdraw her for this upcoming school year, but she is enrolled there in Texas.
Okay, where are you participating from today?
In Douglas. I had to be here for court. I did not know it was a Zoom meeting until Miss Thomas called me earlier while I was at the courthouse to tell me it was a Zoom meeting.
All right, so how long have you been back?
I came back from March to
No, I'm talking about just now when you returned from Texas.
I just came back on the 29th.
Okay, has Bruce the father seen the daughter since you've been back?
No, he hasn't even contacted me to see her.
Well, did he know you were back?
Yes, because he asked her if she wanted to go to the fair with him and she didn't want to go, so she told him no.
Okay.
I have personally seen him in town myself since I have been back, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Thomas, do you have any reply that you wish to make to Megan's statements to the court?
Yes, Your Honor. I'm hearing from my client that he has reached out at least 3 times trying to get visitation access since he found out they were back on the 29th, and he has not been able to do that. Regarding everyone's intent about where they live, the 21-year-old daughter will testify that mom told her that she moved back in March. The school today, my client tells me, I did not have independent contact with them, but my client, I said, find out if mom enrolled her in school for next year. Dad contacted them today and he reports that they said, yes, she's enrolled for the next year. I have never heard of a school and that they had the paperwork, but they had not yet had time to enter it into the computer, which tells me that mom filled something out. I'll need to contact them to get a copy of that because I just found this out when he came for hearing. So I think that that's all. The 21-year-old daughter says that and I believe the school records will speak for themselves. So I guess that that is my argument now.
Okay. This high school daughter, has she had her 16th birthday yet?
Yes.
Yes, she
Okay.
has.
Okay, so she is 16 now. And she's going to be a sophomore for the upcoming year?
No, she will be a junior.
Junior, okay.
Junior, she just finished sophomore. I think I misunderstood because I was trying to listen and talk at the same time. Sorry.
Okay. Okay. All right. Bear with me. Hang on. Leave the meeting open, Mandy. I'm just going to step aside for a second. right, thank you for your patience. I now have KSA 233222 before me. Change in child's residence.
Judge Ricky lays it out bluntly. Once a parent establishes residency, even temporarily, there are legal obligations before uprooting a child again.
Megan, I certainly understand your statements to the court that you maybe were trying to take care of your mother, and so you just happened to bring your daughter along with you. I don't know if there was a custodial uh, alternative down in Texas where she could have maintained school, either with a stepfather or family down there or whatever, but obviously you didn't choose that. You brought her with you. You, in effect, have had her up here apparently about 4 months before returning. This would appear to be one of those situations where the statute requires that you give notice to the father before you move the residence again, and you didn't do that.
I did not make this my residence.
Well, but as a practical matter, the court will make the finding that you did. I mean, we're not talking about a short-term visitation. We're not talking about accommodating Mr. Etter's parenting time. You literally took the child out of school in Texas and moved her here. Now, you can play all kinds of word games with the terms residence or home or whatever you want, but the reality is she got moved to Kansas and finished the school year here. This certainly gives every impression to a reasonable person that you have changed residence for her, regardless of some unexpressed intent, apparently, to move back to Texas. Now, this court at one time approved you moving to the state of Texas with her, but this mixed signals that you're sending with you were in Texas, then you move her up to Kansas, and now you want to go back to Texas causes problems. And it doesn't appear that you've been willing to accommodate the father's parenting time. Why is that?
I have, Your Honor, every time
Okay,
he
now
has
wait a
asked
minute.
for
Wait a
her,
minute.
except for the
Okay,
two
wait, whoa,
times
whoa.
that she
Stop
did
right
not
there.
want to go.
This you came up on the 29th, and he hasn't seen his daughter since you came up here? This is August the 5th. I mean, where does Mr. Etter live?
In Douglas?
Okay, the same town. One thing I want to make clear, and perhaps the young lady should be in the room for this, she doesn't call the shots here. She's a minor. Until she becomes 18, she doesn't acquire those kind of rights to decide when she wants to be with a parent and when she doesn't want to. Okay,
Okay,
so,
but Your Honor, may I add something?
all right, you may.
A lot of the issue with Mercedes going to Mr. Etter's residence is the fact that they smoke in the home, and it is in the court order that she is not allowed to be smoked around because she has asthma. She is highly allergic to cigarette smoke, and they repeatedly smoke around her. It triggers her asthma, it triggers her allergies, and Mr. Etter allows that. How is she supposed to go spend 48 hours in his residence with him when he allows himself and his mother to smoke around her?
May I
I do
respond,
recall
Your
that
Honor?
was a specific part of the order this court earlier entered. Mr. Etter, do you want to address that?
Um, yes, I'm going to mute myself because we've got reverberation if you want Mr. Utter to respond.
Okay, so no, we do not smoke in the house when Sadie is there. We go outside every time she's over. And I have helped Megan by following Megan to El Dorado, drop her vehicle off to be worked on, and she was smoking in the vehicle with Mercedes in it.
Mercedes was not in the vehicle. It was you and I.
All right, well, we're
Mercedes
not going
will
to bicker or
testify.
argue here. Back and
Mercedes will
forth.
testify to the fact that they smoke around her.
Which this court finds to be problematic, quite frankly.
Your Honor, I agree, and I've instructed my client, you are not to smoke in that house if you want to have your daughter and I'm participating in this. She has asthma and it's cruel. Do you agree? Yeah. He agrees
All right.
not to smoke in the house anymore, Your Honor.
Okay, fine. When is the first day of school in Douglas?
The court treats it seriously, but carefully. Dad denies smoking around the child, acknowledges the medical concern, and agrees to strict no-smoking conditions.
I
I'm sorry,
believe,
Your Honor, I don't.
Mr. Eder, you should know that.
I don't know.
I don't know that.
When's the first day in school in Texas? And what community are we talking about? What school district?
The first day of school in Texas is on the 10th. Or not the 10th.
Okay,
Sorry.
all right.
Let me see.
And what school district is this?
Tarkington ISD.
Okay, would you say that slowly?
Tarkington ISD.
I believe it's Douglas, Kansas, Your Honor.
Tarkington. Is that what you said?
Tarkington is the school she would be attending in Texas. Douglas High School is the school here.
Quickly, Ms. Thomas, do you believe this mediation can begin?
Well, as soon as the mediator has an availability, and I can, let me see here, I can contact a mediator this afternoon. I'd recommend.
What mediator is being contemplated here?
We haven't exchanged that yet. I was going to recommend Christy Campbell in Wichita, just because I think she can get people in rather quickly.
We're certainly comfortable with that choice.
So I can send the email today saying that time is of the essence on this to Christy.
So, Eder, you think you have a good relationship with this girl?
Well, every time I get close to her, they seem to pull her away from me. Like I spent a total of 21 days with her, fishing, taking her to the races, teaching her how to drive, and then they went to Texas and came back, and now supposedly she doesn't want nothing to do with me.
All right. Megan,
Yes,
there
Your Honor.
are consequences and implications by the actions that you take. Quite frankly, if you hadn't come up to Kansas, put her in school late last year, and they even stayed a good part of this summer, we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be having this particular discussion. But in light of the fact that you established at least temporary residency for her here in Kansas, this court is of the opinion that the temporary relief should be granted. If you want to go back to Texas, you can, but the daughter stays here. And unfortunately, this court is not going to get the case in a manner in which I can decide it prior to the beginning of a school year. So, quite frankly, the status quo for her is to be in the Douglas schools, not in Texas schools. And so I'm going to preserve the existing status quo of her enrolling and starting the school year in the Douglas school. So it begs the question, Megan, are you going to stay or are you going to go?
Well, I'm sure not going to leave my child, so I guess I have to.
Well, actually, you don't, because the alternative would be is that I put temporary primary custody in Bruce's hands, and he takes care of her, and he looks out for her, and he takes care of all of these school needs, and steps up to the plate and be what is essentially a full-time dad for her, which is something he hasn't had an opportunity to do or the responsibility to do. So there is an alternative, and I trust, Bruce, that you can accommodate that. Is that right?
Yes, sir, I can.
Okay.
Your Honor, I am quite capable of taking care of my child.
Oh, I'm not questioning that. I just thought that you were going to go to Texas regardless.
No, I'm not going to leave my child. I have raised my child since the day she was born. Why would I leave her here and go back? That makes no sense. I am her sole caretaker.
All right. Furthermore, the court has become insecure about temporary trips to Texas, so I'm going to ban those. At this point, this child is not to leave the state of Kansas for any reason unless both parents sign off on a consent document in advance. Bruce, that's going to apply to you too. And I don't want that consent arbitrarily denied, but I want both parents to be very aware.
The court orders week on, week off shared custody, with structured exchanges at a neutral public location. No doorstep drama. No confrontation.
Of where she's going and how long she's going, and sign off on a consent document in advance to any trip out of the state of Kansas for her. It doesn't preclude the parents from going out of state, mind you, only the minor daughter. Okay, so it's going to require the written consent of both parents till further mediation takes place or further hearing by the court. Now, I think we did establish a pretrial conference date on the calendar, Ms. Thomas.
We have not yet, Your Honor, but we
Well,
will
I talked to my assistant about it this morning, so we had discussed Monday, September 9 at 3 o'clock. And I'll label that a status conference at this point.
I would love for it to be a pretrial conference if that's agreeable to the court. We'll be ready for that.
Monday, September 9, 3 o'clock.
Your Honor, the other issue is, since we have not been successful in spending time since the 29th, and the existing court order contemplates a trip to Texas, so his visitation is every other month meeting with Texas, would Your Honor establish a temporary parenting schedule so that he will have access between now and the time of trial and it can't be denied?
I will. It would appear that both parents are currently in a position to provide day-to-day care for her. They both live in the same city. The court's going to establish a temporary week-to-week shared custody schedule at this time. I'm inclined, and I'll make an interim order also to address this, but I think I'm going to allow the first week to be with the mother. I want there to be a relatively slow transition here, but with the father to have this upcoming weekend. So we're on Monday. I think for the rest of the week until Friday, I want the child to stay with mom. And then starting Friday evening until Sunday evening, I want this weekend to be with dad. And then he can finish out the remainder of a 7-day period and exchange again on Friday. And that schedule, Friday evening exchanges for 7-day periods, will go on until further order of the court. It appears Mr. Etter is in just as good a position to get her to school and take care of her school needs as the mother. The mother can go back to Texas during her off weeks if that's what she wants to do. I'm not going to hold that against her. Or she can stay in Kansas. That's up to her. But the child stays here and has a regular and consistent start of the year in the Douglas schools.
What time is exchange on Fridays and Sundays?
Well, we're going to have the same time. So is there a work schedule that we have to contemplate here? Does Bruce Etter have a suggestion? Friday evening is generally when we do this.
Friday evenings at 6 p.m. would be workable with all schedules, if that's agreeable.
That's fine.
Okay. So I want to make sure
that
I want to make sure I understand. The child stays with mom until Friday, August 9th at 6, at which point we start week to week with every exchange happening Fridays at 6. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you, Judge.
The other thing we need to cover is where we're going to exchange at. I don't know what the relationship is between mother and father right now. I don't want to have contention at anyone's home. So my current order would be maybe a convenience store in Douglas.
There's a Family Dollar right next to where I live at where we can meet in the parking lot if Mr. Etter is acceptable with that. We have done that numerous times since we have been here.
The Family Dollar, Mr. Etter?
That's fine, Your Honor.
Okay. That will be the exchange point for all exchanges. I would just ask the mother to make this as smooth as possible for the daughter. I mean, this is her dad. If he didn't care about her, he wouldn't be here.
My only concern is them smoking around my child.
Mr. Etter, if she's an asthmatic, smoking around her could be very harmful to her health, and I hope you and your mother recognize that and will take appropriate steps to avoid exposing her to that secondhand smoke. I do consider that a serious issue.
One moment, Your Honor, if I may consult for 1 second, because I think we have an agreement that will help. Thank you. Your Honor, we agree that no one will smoke inside Mr. Utter's house or vehicle. And when he goes outside to smoke, Mercedes will follow him, and she should be instructed by both mother and father not to do that. He will go outside, grandma will go outside.
Yeah. If she follows her parent outside and exposes herself in an outdoor area, I don't know how you're going to stop that. I wouldn't think she would do that if she's, if that smoke is harmful to her.
I personally don't have that problem because I can just tell her I'm smoking over here, go over there, and she will literally go away from you.
Yeah, that would seem to take care of it. I mean, she is 16. She should understand that.
Yes,
we'll tell her the same thing, Your Honor.
All right. Thomas, you're going to need to promptly draft an order stemming from today's proceedings, setting forth the rulings and orders that the court has made here today, including the next court date, which will be done by Zoom. Particularly, I want that in-state restriction documented in the order.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. I missed that last.
The in-state restriction that I talked about,
yes.
I want that carefully documented in that order.
The other issue that we have, Your Honor, is the child is on Texas state insurance. Dad had contacted mom trying to put her on his private pay insurance through his work. Mom had refused to allow that. She is not going to qualify for Texas state insurance, and we have reasonably priced health insurance available for her. So could we please, even without an agreement, have an order that we're allowed to insure her?
She's been in Kansas for almost 5 months. Texas was still covering her?
We're concerned about the fraudulent nature of that coverage because my client was saying, hey, if you've moved back, we've got to get her on my insurance, and mom was refusing to allow it. That was one of the issues.
I'm surprised the mother has any veto power over him putting his own daughter on his insurance. Well, the court will order that he's allowed to put this child on his health insurance.
Your Honor, my only concern about him putting her on his work insurance is Mr. Etter is not consistent with employment, and my daughter requires adequate, stable insurance.
Well, that's certainly what the court contemplates here.
Your Honor, he is in his second year of employment, and he's just been promoted. He's intending to be at this company long term.
All right. Perhaps it would be better if this court, rather than say that I'll allow it, I'm going to order it.
Thank you, Judge.
I'm going to order that she be put on his insurance. You need to immediately inform the mother if you lose that insurance for any reason, Mr. Etter.
We will, Your Honor.
So that perhaps some other type of coverage could be applied for. All right.
Okay.
Ms. Thomas, anything else we need to address?
Nothing, Your Honor. Thank you.
Megan, is there anything else we need to address?
No.
All right. Very well then. We've got another hearing date set. We're going to review the case September the 9th. At the time that was earlier established by the court, which I think was 3 p.m. And I just expect the parties to work together for the best interest of this daughter. And certainly the court's orders contemplate her current best interest. Let's all work toward that. If there's nothing further at this time, then the Etter matter will currently be in recess.
The message is loud and clear. Courts are watching. Patterns matter. And when a parent repeatedly disrupts stability, judges will intervene. Dad finally gets his time. The child gets consistency. And the system does what it's supposed to do, protect the best interest of the child.